Hello everybody and welcome back to the Sir Alex Ferguson challenge with West Ham. Now this is the beginning of season 3. I have went through the summer transfer window, we've got all our business done and dusted. And we've got the opening Premier League game with a local rivalry against Millwall. So let's begin with the outs. Andriy Yarmolenko ended up going to Barcelona for £46.5 million. Now he's an aging winger, his physical attributes are declining and it's not something I'm particularly interested in. I wanted to get rid of him while his valuation was still quite high. I wanted to get his wages off the budget because I think West Ham's wages are absolutely crazy anyway. So yeah, £46.5 million for a 30-year-old winger I thought was a decent bit of business. Next up, Pedro Obiang left the club for £24.5 million to Lazio. Now I didn't actually want to sell Pedro Obiang, but when I came to do my squad registration, unfortunately he did not fit in. We can only have 17 foreign players in the first team squad, and I had better players that I wanted to fit in. And just bear that in mind when you see some of the signings. Some of the signs are a bit dodgy, but it was because I needed some more English, or at least that didn't count as a foreign player in the squad. Jack Wilshere left. He went to Southampton for £20 million. Unfortunately for Jack, he's just too injury prone. I think he missed pretty much the entirety of last season. I'll just quickly check how many games. He played 7 games last season. And that wasn't because I didn't want to give him game time. That was because he was injured for the most of it. So where we're starting from. Bruised ankle. He was out for 3 days, then 2 days, then 3 months, then 3 months. So as you can see, he missed 6 months of this season last season. And that's just no good to me. Next up was Lanzini. He went to Watford for £20 million. Similar situation to Jack Wilshere with him, actually. He was out for just like a lot of little niggles, as you can see here. Now, he did make a good few appearances for us last season, 23. He didn't really perform as expected. And because we signed our Serbian Jurlek, he's going to find his game time even more limited. So I decided to cash in on him. He's a decent player. Injury record's too poor. He's gone. This is another one that I didn't really want to do. Sam Byram ended up going to Leicester for £15 million. Leicester made an offer for him initially for like £7.5 million. I just rejected it. I wanted to keep him in the squad because he was English, and obviously that helps with the registration. But he kicked up before, so he wanted to join Leicester, so I ended up getting £15 million for him. And I think if he was Italian, I would have been absolutely buzzing with that because he's not the greatest player. But he is a decent backup, so it wasn't someone I wanted to get rid of, but £15 million is £15 million. Ogbonna ended up leaving for £7 million, and it's the same situation with him that it was with Pedro Obiang. I didn't want to get rid of him. I wanted to keep him in the squad. I think he's a decent centre-half who could bring some necessary experience to the squad, but I couldn't get him registered. I needed to get rid of some people. So £7 million. He was happy to go, and it was quite amicable. He was happy to join Fiorentina. So there we go. Antonio eventually left, as you remember. I tried to sell him last season, but he ended up going on loan to Nantes for the season for like £2 million. He's ended up signing for Derby for £4.4 million. He was on like £70,000 a week, which is absolutely crazy. I don't believe we are paying any of his wages either. We're not. So that was really pleasing. All the offers I had in the previous season had us like spending the vast majority of his wages. So to get him out, just to clear the wage budget, I was happy with that. Can you remember this guy? I signed him to be a backup keeper and then I couldn't register him. Yeah, he's gone. 400 grand. And the rest of them, all our young players that have went out on loan. Some of them I've signed in the summer and you'll see in the incomings. But particularly I want to point out Dejan Joveljic. If someone had come in for Marko Arnautovic and signed him, I would have brought this guy into the first team squad. He looks like a fantastic striker and he will be a decent backup to Alexander Isak. But nobody came in for Arnautovic, so he's went out on loan to Partizan for the season. And the other one I want to highlight is Craig Davies, our goalkeeper that came in the first youth intake. And he looks absolutely fantastic. And he's going to be playing first team football at my home club, Sunderland. So hopefully he will come back next season a much better player. And as soon as Pau Lopez gets unhappy with being a backup goalkeeper, which I think will happen this season, I want to get this guy in the first team squad as soon as possible and start giving him game time. But for now, he's going to spend the season at Sunderland. And Sunderland have really good youth facilities and training facilities, so it will help them along the way. Which brings us on to the incomings. Now, Ryan Bennett looks very confusing, and I accept that. He is very confusing. He's not a very good centre-back, but we needed someone to be our fourth choice centre-back who was English, and all of my other options were either too costly or just not good enough. So I brought him in. He was a free transfer. I think he's okay. He should be okay if we're caught upon him. But yeah, not great. Actually, I'll just quickly go one other outgoing, which I don't think has happened yet, is Issa Diop. Issa Diop couldn't be registered because of the foreign player limit rule. I would have loved to have kept him as my fourth choice centre-back, but unfortunately I had to sell, and I think he's going to Lazio for like 12.5 million. £525,000 brought us James Puerta. He's a Colombian right winger. He looks absolutely fantastic, really well rounded, 18 years old. He does have loan offers in for him because he will be getting loaned out. Unfortunately, you can only have 5 players under the age of 23 who would need to require a work permit, which we already have, so I'm going to get him loaned out. Jose Lopez came in for, was it 575? I think this might have been a pre-arranged transfer that's finally gone through. He's went back on loan to Nacional de Madeira. They're in the Portuguese Premier League, so he's going to be getting high quality football. 18 years old, good potential. I think he's 5-star. He is 5-star. He's another one who definitely could make up the first team squad in a few years' time. Alex Blesser came in for £1.1 million, a well-rounded central midfielder from Spain. We signed him from Levante, and he's went on loan to Reims in the French League 1. I don't think he's going to be good enough to get in the first team squad unless this dramatically improves over the coming season, but we'll review him when he comes back. Can you remember Emerson? I tried to sign him in January transfer window of the first season, which ended up us signing Wagnerman because we couldn't get a work permit. I've ended up signing him for £4 million to be our backup right back, and he's going to replace Sam Byram in the squad. I think he looks really good. He's still got potential to improve, but he is going to be a backup, so we'll see how he gets on. £6.5 million might have been a bit too much for this guy, but the physicals just enchanted me and I just had to bring him in. We signed him from Dynamo, £6.5 million. He's went out on loan to Heracles. I think they're in the Spanish First Division, are they? Spanish First Division. Jesus, they're in the top division in Holland. But yeah, I think he'd be a really good right back eventually. He's got a lot of work to do on his technicals and some work to do on his mentals, but physically he's sorted. Jonathan Panzo, English centre-back, he will be coming in as our third choice centre-back. Again, his physicals are absolutely wonderful. He is described as a wonder kid. He's a 3-star current ability, 4-star potential. So this is going to be our backup centre-back, replacing Ogbonna or Issa Diop in the squad. Obviously, because of the registration rules, it had to be an English player, and this was the best one available at a reasonable price. 10 million might seem a lot if it was any other nation, but because he's English, I felt like it was a good buy. Tete will be replacing Yarmolenko in the squad. We signed him for £10.5 million, and I think he looks absolutely fantastic. And he gives us something else on that right-hand side that Yarmolenko or Dennis Mann don't bring us: electrifying pace. Obviously, he's got a lot of potential to grow, 3-star current. He might even replace Dennis Mann as the first choice right midfielder, depending on how either one performs over the coming season. But yeah, this was like my first signing. I was really pleased with him. Sandro Tonali is like the new Andrea Pirlo, I guess, will be the closest thing to him. He's an Italian defensive midfielder who can play in the centre midfield, which is where he's going to be playing for us, and he's just fantastic. You know, we signed him for like 11.75 million from Brescia, who made it into Serie A on the back of this guy, I would imagine. And he's just stupidly well-rounded, particularly his mentals for a 20-year-old is absolutely fantastic. Got work to do on his technicals, but he's a 3.5 current 5-star potential player, and I'm very happy to get him into the squad. And finally, we signed Ronaldo Vieira for £15 million from Sampdoria. He's an English player. Again, I had to look at the English players to get them into the squad for registration purposes, and I think he's decent. You know, he might even be a starter for us. It all depends on who performs better. We do have some good options in centre midfield. And in terms of the tactic and formation, we'll talk about that just before the Millwall game. So yeah, I think physically he's well-rounded, mentally he's well-rounded, technically he's okay, particularly for a deep-line playmaker, but I won't be playing him there. And Matsala might be sort of like his role if he plays in central midfield. We'll see how the season goes, but Ronaldo Vieira, 15 million, 21-year-old Englishman, he's alright. And all of that nonsense brings us to today against Millwall in the first game. Now, I was discussing my tactics. I've sort of reviewed them over the summer transfer period and sort of made some changes to how they perform and how they act. I'm thinking this is going to be our primary tactic going forward, except for home games against opposition that we should be beating. I will be referring back to this. But for away games, It depends on the team we're playing. We might end up playing the more attacking tactic, but for now, Millwall today, this is the side that this is the formation that we're going to go with. And this is the side that is going to start the first game against Millwall. Timo Horn in goal. Emerson will get the start at right back because Wagnerman is struggling a little bit for condition. He's on 83%. That is not something I'm interested in, so he will be out of the matchday squad today. Reece Oxford and Pongracic at centre back. Creswell at left back. Declan Rice in that defensive midfielder role. Ronaldo Vieira and Tonali as our central midfielders. Dennis Mann on the right. Moise Keane on the left, and Alexander Isaac up top. So being the first game of the season, there's been a lot of changes to the squad. We do have, actually, it's quite a consistent team, really. Emerson's obviously new. The two central midfielders are new, but everybody else started last season. So hopefully it won't take too long for the new players to bed in. And first game of the season, third season with West Ham. I'm really hoping that we could maybe push on and try and get into them Champions League spots, as Oxford nearly puts us in front. But yeah, we need to push on this season. I think with the young players that we've got and the young players that we've signed in previous seasons, hopefully they will continue to improve over the course of the season. Because currently, maybe we haven't got the squad for a top 4 finish. But you never know. We'll see how the season goes. Highlight now, Millwall with the corner this time. We'll manage to get it clear, but only as far as Servette. Can he get the ball back in? He takes it. That was selfish, Servette. He should have got the ball back post. Free kick for us. Aaron Creswell takes it. Moise Keane is there, and Moise Keane gets the first goal of the season. Aaron Creswell doing what Aaron Creswell does, getting himself an assist with a free kick, actually. I think he does that quite often. And Moise Keane gets front post, top corner, decent header, 1-0. Half-time quickly approaching. Absolutely nothing has happened since the first goal of the game. But I don't mind that as long as we're winning, whatever. And we'll get back out for the second half. No changes just yet. We'll keep an eye on the condition of our players and stuff like that. But we'll wait and see. Highlight now. Dennis Mann's got it on the right-hand side. Emerson's overlapping. That's exactly what I want from the guy. He gets the ball in. Isaac's there and he wins the header again. But unfortunately, he either hit the post or it was a good save by the keeper. The highlight continues with a corner from Creswell. And it's cleared by Millwall. Is that going to be the end of it? Or we're going to actually see something happen? Declan Rice now. Absolutely beautiful switch. And Moise Keane gets it back in. But Isaac cannot beat the defender this time. And that was the end of the highlight. 70 minutes in. We're going to make some changes. Aaron Creswell is struggling out there. So we'll get our usual replacement, Tony Lato, on for him. Emerson's going to have to stay on. Reece Oxford, I don't really want to take off. Sandro Tonali. We can get Matthias Enrique on for Tonali. And we'll keep our final sub in case of injury. Highlight, Emerson taking the free kick this time. It's played in. Reece Oxford wins the header. We're winning a lot of headers, but unfortunately it can't get on target. And we're only 1-0 up here. This is a dodgy game, but this is why I've changed to this tactic. Last season we dropped so many points where we shouldn't really, because I think we were too attacking. So I'm hoping that this sort of formation will make us more defensively solid, whilst also giving us enough to get the goals when it's needed. And these 1-0 victories away from home, I will take them all day. 5 seconds to go. This is going to be the final highlight, and the referee has blew the full-time whistle. West Ham 1, Millwall 0, 3 points on the board. What more would you want? So looking forward to the next episode. I'm going to come back for the European Super Cup game against Chelsea. So they must have won the Champions League. So we will be playing that game. And depending on where the Champions League draw is done, we'll probably find out who's going to be in our group from that point. Obviously, a lot of changes during this summer transfer window. A lot of money spent. We'll quickly check the figures again. £137 million brought in and £60 million spent. That is something I want to continue doing with West Ham, getting their finances in order. Over the first couple of seasons, it is a little bit dodgy, constantly going down to potentially negative figures, particularly in that first season anyway. But we've got a lot of wage budget remaining. We've made some big changes for wage reasons, really, and £34 million still to spend in the January transfer window should we need it. If you have enjoyed today's video, please consider leaving a like, and if you enjoy my content, get yourself subscribed. But until next time, take it easy.